Hi guys, here it's Audrey Meyer. I'm with Scott Allen, and today we are going to talk about finding your superpower, hack your body and mind to become unstoppable. So I'm really excited about this series. I don't know if you guys been following the previous one or this is your first one, but it's going to be a series of interview where we will give you some tips and tools to boost your level of performance so that you can reclaim your life. So this is an amazing project for me because I've been working on that for 25 years as a professional athlete, but also as a coach. So today I'd like to welcome you, Scott Allen. Hi, Scott.
Hi. Thanks for having me on the show again.
Yeah, thank you. So yes, Scott was on the previous show, Crushing Fear, and I'm super excited to have him here again on Finding Your Superpower. So Scott, can you just give us a little background about who is Scott Allen?
Sure, thank you. So as you know, my name's Scott Allen, and I'm a coach and an author. I've written and published over 15 books, and my books focus on material that helps people to overcome their fears, develop an unbreakable mindset, and live a fearless lifestyle. So what that means is that um, it's a path to self mastery that by following the program that I have laid out in the books, they're able to take their life from where they're at now to where they want to be. So I look at it as it's not just setting goals or I don't know, productivity. I mean, those are part. That's all part of it, but it's a mindset that they have to be focused on like every day. So they're working on something every day, and that's really what I think mastery is about. Is that it's not like trying to reach some kind of end goal where someday I'll be the master of this or whatever it is. It's a process. It is something that you have to work on, daily. Like just even if it's just doing one thing consistently. So that's what I think that's the foundation of where I begin when I start to work with people to help them change their lifestyle. Couple more things. So, as you know, I do live in Japan. I've been here for about 20, I guess 23 years. And I got here because I decided one day that I wanted to change my life and do something completely different because I was bored. And when I get bored and restless, it usually means that I need to change something. So, um, yeah, I just started working on my goals and diving really deep into my soul to see what was in there that was causing me to feel this unrest. And the more work I did, the more I realized that my life is a journey that I just had to move to the next level. And in order to do that, um, I was told to go and travel the world by something. I don't know what, but something was saying, you need to get out of here. And I'm from Canada, by the way. You need to go and, you know, do some it's a journey of self-discovery. And you need to get out there and find out what it is, like who you are and what it is you're really supposed to do. So that was it. And I just ended up here by, not by chance, but there was some kind of a plan to it. So once I got here, though, I realized that I started to explore a different side of like a different culture, different people, different way of living, and I just really, loved that. I don't know, the freedom that I had. So that's probably the one thing that's always driven me is I've always wanted to lead a not just a fearless lifestyle, but a lifestyle that where I had the freedom to live life the way I wanted to.
That's great.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
love it. And I think when you change country, right? I mean, I'm French and I live in the Dominican Republic. When you step out of your comfort zone because I guess, you moved from Canada to Japan, brand new language, brand new culture. It's kind of like a new start, right? It's like a new growth. It's
Mm.
amazing. So stepping outside of your comfort zone. Awesome, Scott. So Scott, I'd like to know, and I'm sure the audience would love to know, when you clients contact you, right? You've been working a lot of, doing a lot of coaching with clients, and you also been writing all your books. But when you coach your people, what's the number one reason people approaching you? What's the number one question they'd like you to help them with?
Yeah, I think the number one question. So I get like a lot of emails and um, people asking questions, or I'm in this situation. What do you recommend? So it depends, but I think the number one question is, I have zero confidence. I'm living in a world of self doubt, and in order for me to get to the next level, I need to break through these things. I need to find a way to step out of my comfort zone, actually, like you said, and start to move in a positive direction. So they're really asking me for, some kind of a plan or a blueprint, or sometimes they just want a simple solution, but it's not always that simple. So, I can't just give somebody advice and say, well, just try this. And, you have to keep trying different things. But yeah, that would be probably the number one question is, I'm stuck. I want to change my life. What can you offer to help me overcome this pain point?
Yeah.
So it's a big question, though. It's not something that you can just, you can kind of give them a few tips and suggestions, maybe just if, you're communicating with email. But the best way is really like, is to have some kind of like a course that you can direct them to. I don't have courses yet, but we're working on that now. Or I can direct them towards something in my, in my books. But a lot of people really need, I think, the one-on-one,
Yeah.
coaching, or, if you're having a webinar, you could direct them to the webinar. But yeah, they really need to, and like with coaching or mentorship, like I think no matter who you are, like you need to have it's great to have a coach or a mentor,
Absolutely.
somebody that can, because we all get caught up in our own minds, and and we just get lost in there
Yeah.
trying to figure things out, and it just spins around and around. And
Yeah.
you need somebody to say, whoa, just stop. You have to stop this, and put on the brakes, and we're going to move in this direction. So
Yeah, absolutely. Especially right now with what's going on in the world. I mean, today we're recording that interview, but the time this will be out, this will be beginning of July, right? There's going to be a lot of and wondering what's going on. People are going to have to find different job, right? People are going to have to
mm,
understand that they have value. So it's so important to have a coach which helps you finding those value and finding your why, right? And bring you to the next level to answer
mhm.
the question and to help you in life. Yeah. So Scott, we're talking about finding your superpower, right? That's the title of the summit. So, can you describe which superpower best define you? I mean, I have an idea because you wrote so many books, so I have an idea about what you're going to say. But please, can you describe how you would describe your superpower?
Yeah, well, I think I'm very persistent when it comes to change and adapting to difficult climates. So, and just something that you mentioned, just an off note there about, people going through a lot of change right now. And, change isn't something that you can always decide, like, oh, I'm going to do this and change my life. Sometimes you're forced into it, or you're put in a situation where you have to change. And, um, if you're not ready for it, like what we're going through right now with COVID, um, of course, most of us weren't prepared for it. But then suddenly it happens, and now you have to adapt quickly. In regards to changing jobs, lifestyle, everything. So, but anyway, yeah, getting back to the superpower. So I'm persistent when it comes to change, adapting to difficult times, and I can see the changes that people are trying to make in their own lives, and I can offer suggestions or strategies in order to help them fuel that change. So Because just deciding something is one thing, that's one step, but then actually taking action towards it is another, and taking that consistent action. Um, I think I have an intuition for the actions that you have to be taking now in order to prepare yourself for success. So intuitively knowing that if I want to be at this stage in 3 years or 5 years, I need to be working on this thing right now. So I think it's an intuition, but sometimes it's just a feeling like it's like a guiding force that's just saying, like, you know where you want to go, so you should be working, breaking it down. You should be working on this one thing today. So I think that's a superpower that I'm still coming to understand.
Yeah.
Um, and one more thing would be adapting quickly to changing circumstances, um, like being proactive when uh, things happen. So, like, again, what's happening right now is, like, a lot of people are reactive and reacting. Like, if you see, the news, you might react to it and start to panic or feel like fearful, and you just, when you're in a reactive state, you're not in control of your actions and your emotions. You just lose control of everything. So
Yeah.
being proactive and um, being able to work through the worst of times by making the uh, core decisions that you need, that's going to be able to just guide you through all the mess. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So all those qualities uh, of superpower, whoever you want to name them, it's definitely where you set your mind, right? So
mm,
we're going into mindset here, and I think once you set your mind for success, for either productivity or whatever you want, you can achieve your goal. So, Scott, how important you think mindsets um, is important in your life to guide you through through your goals?
yeah. Yeah, aside from having a healthy body, I think the mindset is the most important thing, because mindset determines everything. Like, I see people stuck all the time, and they're stuck doing something that living a life they don't want to lead, doing things they don't want to do. And maybe inwardly, maybe they do want to change, but they can't. And they just keep doing the same thing day after day, because their mindset is just stuck on doing that same thing. You really have to, your mindset determines your course of action. So whatever it is that you're focusing on, that's what you ultimately become. So if it comes down to something as simple as, like, the material that you read, the books you read, the thoughts you have, like, all these things are mindset, because it's building your mindset daily. um, you know if you if you change your if you change your way of thinking, of course you can change your mindset, but that also, you have to change your actions as well, and you have to be very clear on what it is that you're going for. And you can only know that if your mindset is set towards a certain objective, then you're going to reach that objective eventually. But you do have to have that that determination, that willpower, um, and that's going to define you from, say, the 2 or 3% of that, the 2 or 3% of the people who make it, and the rest that don't.
Yeah.
So yeah, so mindset is just like, that's something that you should always be focusing on. It's not, and again, mindset is not an end goal. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna get there someday. It's right now. So
Yeah. And this is so true. I love what you just say. The only thing is, right now, it's really hard with what's going on in the world,
mhm,
right? It's like everybody's stuck at home. Either we feel isolated because we don't see a friend, or we overwhelmed because we have the husband, the kids, and it's like there's too many people in the house suddenly. So
mm,
I know you. The reason I say that is that it's really hard to stick with you mindset and to stay productive. So I know you were talking, you have some tips on your website about procrastination, and I'd like you to
mm,
talk a little bit about that, because I know it could help the audience right now. Into, if you can give us like 2 3 tips about maintaining the productivity and not letting us being too much into procrastination?
Yeah, procrastination, that's always been a struggle for me. Just because it's procrastination is usually it's that thing that crops up every time you've got too much going on, you're overwhelmed, you're feeling anxiety, worry. All of these things leads to procrastination because procrastination is a way out of that. So for example, when I'm procrastinating on doing something, I turn on the TV and I'll just watch anything. Like I'm just flicking through channels, and suddenly I have to realize, whoa, like, okay, I was supposed to be doing this thing and now I'm doing this thing, and just there's no purpose to it. So um, what I'm saying is you have to be aware of what your procrastination trigger is, and everybody has one, whether it's just jumping on social media and just flipping through social media channels randomly, and next thing you know, like 45 minutes is gone and you've just lost 45 minutes of your life, or an hour or whatever. So knowing what your procrastination trigger is, knowing why you started doing this. Were you bored, anxious, fearful? There's usually an emotion that comes with it. Most people say, well, because I'm bored, I'm looking for something to do. But if you are, you're not focused on the one thing you should be doing. And yeah, things are really hard right now with people at home, and it's hard to focus when you have kids at home when they should be in school, or you're at home because you can't go to your work. So that in itself is probably a whole different discussion. But what has been helping me with that is just writing down like my one thing for that day that I need to focus on. Not 10 things or a checklist of 20 things, and not things like helping your family and doing those are of course super important and they probably come first. But for yourself, just that one thing that you want to focus on, so that you get that done, then you can go to the next thing.
Yeah.
And again, that could be maybe you're working on a book, or you're creating an online business, or whatever it is. But you need to finish your one thing for that day, and until you do, then if you're focusing on that, you're not going to get into that procrastination funk. You might feel yourself getting pulled away, but just remember that you've got to do this one thing because it means so much to you. And that's the other thing, is that write down why it's important,
Yeah. Yeah.
why it matters. And also after that, make a note of what will happen if you don't finish it. How you're probably going to feel like a failure if you don't, or you're going to become depressed or whatever it is. But I know if I don't finish this one thing, it's just going to set me back for the next day.
Yeah.
So that's the
I love
process I use, just to break procrastination and stay productive.
I love that. I love that. And how good does it feel, Scott? When it's like I have my whiteboard and I write, I have like 3 things to do for my day, and how good
Mm,
it feels when you cross them off, right? It's like done, done,
mm,
done.
mm.
All right, let's have a glass of wine and celebrate, right?
Right,
It's just it
right.
feels good at the end of the day that you did your one thing or your 3 things. And then I think more than 3 gets too much because people get overwhelmed, but one thing which is important to you to do today. I love that. And I love that that you point your procrastination. It's like, all right, I'm going on social media. Oh, I'm aware that I'm on social media. Okay, now I'm a junkie because I spend 2 hours on social media. Let's try to fix that. I think once we realize and we point what's the sugar craving you said about the procrastination, it's like the first step, right? I love that. So Scott, can you tell us what are you working on now? Sorry about my dogs. What are you working on now, and that people should pay attention?
So yeah, I'm working on a new series called Fail Big, and I've got 2 books in this series so far. This is the first one here. The second book was released a month ago. I don't have the copy here because it's delayed, but I'm working on the third book, and it should be out probably in July or August. And I'm planning 4 books for that series. So
Love it.
um, yeah,
And I've
and
been actually sneaking on your work. I've been checking on the book, and it talks about failure, right?
yes, yes.
So can you just give us a little bit about, because I love that you help people shifting the perspective on failure. We always like put so much pressure on ourselves when we fail. So can you
Mm.
just like tease us a little bit about the book?
Yeah, one of the things that people fail at, and myself included, is that not taking responsibility for that fail. So, like, if I'm failing at something, it's easy to blame somebody else or something. You know, it was the reason I failed or I'm failing now is because of this, or so and so did this. Like, you know, we can blame it on COVID or we can blame it on whatever. But and while that may be a part of it, as long as we're pointing the finger, we're not looking at what we can do to turn your failure into a big win.
Yeah.
And you always feel like you're failing at something until you actually start to make um, progress towards that. So like one of the things I talk about in we're talking about the third book or the first book.
I don't know. I'm just
Probably
been
the series in general. Okay,
the series,
yeah,
just in general. Yeah.
yeah, just in general, yeah. Like failure is one of those things where it's we're afraid of it, yet at the same time, it's a necessary element to succeed, and that's the foundation for the series is that you're going to fail. The question is, are you going to fail and then just say, okay, that's it. I tried, gave it my best shot. It's over, and then you go back to your usual lifestyle that you were trying to break away from, right? So that's the core of the book, is to get people from well, first of all, to understand that failure is okay and it's going to happen. It's not if or it is going to happen. And when it does, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
So are you going to take responsibility for it and continue to work towards your dream, or are you just going to let yourself be defeated and that's it? And that comes back to the mindset as well, and just knowing like very clearly what it is that what your objective is, and because failure is just, it's going to happen one way or the other, but and you have to prepare yourself for it, and when it happens, and if you're not ready for it, well then you better start scrambling, because either you're going to sink or you're going to swim. So
Yeah, and we can all learn from our failure, right? I
mm,
can't remember the number of attempts of Michael Jordan throwing in one shot in the hoop until he succeeded, but it was
mm,
many, right? So it's
mm,
like we all can learn from the failure. Yeah,
sure.
Scott, what is one takeaway that you could leave with a listener?
Well, yeah, I may have already mentioned it, but I think it's really important to what I've been realizing recently, because I've been suffering from fatigue, is that number one, I wasn't drinking enough water, and two, I wasn't getting enough sleep, and three, I wasn't exercising very much. So if you do anything, take care of yourself by getting like enough sleep, drink lots of water, and you know get some exercise. And even at home, like, and this is like not to mention COVID again, but a lot of people can't go to the gym. They're stressed because they can't work out. And I've been doing a lot of training at home, just with like jumping rope, or if you can go outside, jumping rope. I bought like a medicine ball online, and great thing about Amazon is they can deliver it to your home in probably a few days. So whatever it takes for you to adapt, then you have to be able, you have to be ready to adapt to any circumstances.
Yeah.
It's not about like, oh, I can't go to the gym, I can't exercise. Like, no, you can. You just have to change the way you're doing it, and that can be for anything. It's like with our work as well. I can't go to work, but I still have to get work done. So now we're working from home online, which most people have never done before. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Adaptation is one of the biggest things, as Darwin said, right? The reason we
Mhm.
human are still on Earth today, it's because we were able to adapt through all these years. Yeah.
Right, right.
So time is flying, and I just want you to talk a little bit about your free gift. Because at the end, at the bottom of the interview, the audience will be able to click on your free gift. So can you tell us a little bit what's about?
Mhm. Sure. So I have a free gift. It's called the Fearless Confidence Action Guide. And what it is 17 action plans for overcoming fear and increasing confidence. And these action guides, like each of the guides, you can use, focus on one a week or one a day. And it's filled with all kinds of nice positivity quotes. And it's maybe about 20, 30 pages of a PDF. So like a little mini book, but you can, you can download it, print it out, and hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, great. That's so generous from you. Thank you so much, Scott.
Sure.
Yeah. So thank you for being here. I also want to thank you, the audience, for joining us today. I will see you guys tomorrow with another amazing speaker. Scott, thank you so much. And guys, I will see you tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you.